my 3-year Cancerversary. I'm trying to find, oh, just a second. There's a camera on my phone. Okay. So yeah, 3 years ago, I got my cancer diagnosis, and kind of coincidentally, this very same month, I just last week received my last cancer treatment. To dovetail together, and I wanted to take this opportunity to do a live stream Q&A for anyone who's been watching my videos, or anyone who has no idea who I am, but might be dealing with a cancer diagnosis, or have someone in the family, someone close that has received a cancer diagnosis. If you'd like to ask me some questions, I'm here. Now, on my other YouTube account, Epic Review Guys, that I do with my brother, I am trying to see if I can get into the live stream here. Hey there. Hey, Ross. Thanks for coming. I'm just about to try to join this live stream as Epic Review Guys, because it's a bigger screen, and even with my glasses on here, it's a little bit challenging to see the comments. So just a second here. I want to see what I see as Epic Review Guys trying to join this live stream, and then I should be able to see the comments big on the laptop screen. Okay, there we go. Tap on me. Laptop screen. Okay, there we go. Uh-oh. Tap on me. Laptop screen. Okay, there we go. Screen. Okay, there we go. Uh-oh. Me. Screen. Okay, there we go. Oh my gosh, the sounds that go into infinity because they come out the speaker and they go into the microphone. Hello. Okay, and also my screen over here is just slightly behind what I'm doing here on the phone, so it's watching myself in the past. Okay. So let's see, the comments will appear over here. Okay, good. All right, I have just one more thing. I'll be sorry for leaving. I'll be back in 1 second. Hey, sorry about that. Okay. So, Las Vegas wants me to visit. Oh my gosh, how hot it's got to be there right now. Let me see if I can. Yeah, the comments are showing up over here bigger, so that's good. Okay. Yeah, how close did I get to Las Vegas? I just got back from a 2-week, 6,000, almost 6,000 mile road trip where I went from here in Central Texas up to Seattle to visit my father for his 85th birthday, and did some high point, oh, you can't see my shirt, some high point climbing along the way, and visited my brother and visited a friend who was sick along the way. So I made the most of that trip. Coming back down, I think southern Utah, after I went through Salt Lake City, coming back, I think was probably the closest I got to Nevada. But oh my gosh, hot. Well, it's hot here in Texas too, but once I left Western Washington, basically it was just hot the rest of the way. So I would love to go back to Las Vegas, but only when the daytime temperature is maybe up to around 80. So I'm thinking that's got to be like maybe November, December. I do love the traveling though. So I have been to Las Vegas a few times before, so I would like to go back. And just if anyone's interested, I do have my Texas High Point shirt on this trip that I took over the last couple of weeks. Hey, thanks again. Thanks for the comments. I also visited the high points of Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska. There were more. Where do I want to hike or travel next? Okay, well, I'd love to go to Aconcagua in Argentina. Okay, I'll get to your question in just a second about that. But when I tried to climb Guadalupe Peak, the highest point in Texas, it's about 8,700 feet. I tried in April. I just couldn't manage it. I've just been on the loop run so long. I have anemia from that and a whole lot of low energy levels that I'm fighting against, but I could not do that climb. And so I had to give up my plan to go to Argentina and climb the highest point outside of Asia. It's basically the highest point in the world outside of, the Himalayas and the mountains K2 and Everest. The highest one is in Argentina, but that's going to have to wait probably at least another year. So I see I do have a medical, not a medical, because I cannot give any medical advice. I do see someone would like to know my experience about the bladder retraining. Have I seen any more progress? That's due to the radiation treatment that I had. Yeah, that's a good one. So long as they airlift me out, then I can hike to the bottom. So the bladder retraining, I did try that for about a month. I did see some improvement. I didn't continue after that. It talk about wearing you out, having to try not, bladder retraining is when you're trying to make yourself go longer between times that you have to pee. And after having the radiation down anywhere near the bladder and the nerves that control the bladder and the whole thing, it can upset things so that you can't hold on as long, which is especially irritating when you're trying to do something. But also at night, you have to get up a number of times to pee, so you don't sleep as well. You have that interrupted sleep. So I found out there's a thing called bladder retraining, and you can do that with physical therapists. They take you through ways that you can get your bladder to be more patient. And I did see some improvement trying to do some of those techniques on my own. And I may go and do it professionally with physical therapists, because I think they could do a better job of it. I was just sort of a DIY version of it. But yeah, definitely saw some improvement, which has persisted to the present day. I did learn too that the Lupron that I'm on, in my case down to undetectable, can also be your body doesn't produce this hormone at night, which tends to tell the bladder, the kidney, not to produce as much urine, to basically keep the fluids in the body. And I don't know if that's that developed in people in order to help you sleep better or not, but I definitely don't have any of that hormone going on. So I'd like to see what happens once I'm off the Lupron. I did have my last shot last week, and I will, it probably till about November 10th, that'll have full effect. And then as it starts to wear off, my testosterone starts to come up, and good luck to me that I might be able to actually sleep a little better, that my body may start producing that chemical that tells the kidneys, hold on to the fluid. So I'll see how that goes. I know that's just for the nighttime. It wouldn't affect how often I have to pee during the day. But I think I'm going to wait and see how that goes before I would go and decide if I want to sign up for the bladder retraining with an actual physical therapist. And I'm tempted to close this screen on the left here. It's just a little bit distracting seeing myself 2 seconds later motioning and saying the things that I'm saying live here. I'll just have to make do with, oh, and the comments don't stay on the screen. All right, I'm sorry, I'm opening it back up here. Thanks again, Ross. And Canyon. I understand now, though, you actually, like at a lot of national parks, you have to make a reservation. So I found that a number of places to climb, you have to, early in the year, go on to their reservation website and reserve when you're going to be there. And I guess you print out a pass, which then you show to the park rangers when you get to the park, and they let you in to climb. But you can't just show up at a number of places now, a number of parks, and say, I'm here to do sightseeing, I'm here to climb. Not if you don't have a reservation, you're not. Even Pikes Peak in Colorado, which is like 14,000 feet high. And I would like to drive that, not especially climb it. I'd like to drive to the top and see how I am, if I really suffer a lot from the altitude or not, to get a better idea of what I can plan to climb other high points in the US. But even with that, I understand you have to go online and make a reservation of when you're going to arrive, and then they give you a pass and a certain amount of time to drive up to the top and to come back down. So all the public lands places seem to be getting crowded. It's a good thing because it means there are more people out there doing it. But I just remember when you just show up at a park and go and do your stuff, and nobody had even suggested that you would have to have a reservation to do that. Even the campgrounds used to be pretty much, you show up, you get to camp, you're a little too late, and they're all full, you don't. So there's advantages to doing it on a reservation system, but it's different than my experience when I was younger, of you just go where you want to go and show up, and you take your chances on if they're going to have room for you. If not, then you go to a different campground. So I guess this is down off the screen. I used when I was going through finding out about my prostate cancer diagnosis, and also, sorry, we're having a gap in the video here according to this. I wonder if everybody else has seen that. I'll give it just a second to see if it clears up. But if going by my epic review guys, I'm just a swirly circle right now. If anybody, how can you type something so that I know the signal's cut out completely? Don't see any comments. I wonder then if this, when the final version of this, you know, because the live streams you can then watch later, if this will all be cut out or if it's going to still save it for me here. Ah, okay, we just got a comment in. Physical therapist for bladder issues, definitely a game changer. Oh, that's good to know. Highly recommend to pinpoint your specific weakness or issue and then help you with exercises or advice. You can still hear me, that's good. I didn't touch anything on the phone. I don't think I broke it. Hey there from Maryland. Well, thank you, Princessa. And that's true. I'm just guessing exactly as to what my issue was, and people who help people daily with this issue would probably be a lot better at diagnosing exactly what I need to work on. So yeah, as I mentioned, I'm letting the Lupron wear off and hoping that so many things will improve once that's the case. So once I see what's going to improve and what looks like it may not improve, then I'll take more steps to get things functioning back to normal. Hey there from Maryland. I was just reading something about around there and your state, High Point, and at least or right around that part of the U.S. and people having to be rescued. I don't know if you're having the heat wave up there or you're having the flooding. It seems like you're having one, everybody's having one or the other. If it's not the heat, then it's the flooding. Oh, yes. Oh, the family's good. Yeah. Roxana is she should graduate, yeah, the end of this year. And Jimena is a sophomore now. So Jimena's away at school. Roxana's still going to school here in Austin, so she's able to stay here with us. So it's not a completely empty nest, but boy, it's going to be soon. And I know we're really going to feel that. Flooding, okay. That must have been what I heard about and people having to be rescued. So yeah, not a good time. Not a good time to be going to climb the high points in Maryland, but I guess it's a good time to be at the high points in Maryland if it's flooding. So I did want to mention the first book I read after I got my cancer diagnosis, like within a month or so. I mean, at first I was just overwhelmed by it, and the doctors gave me plenty of information. And then I went online and got information and misinformation. But I had already changed my diet at that point to plant-based. And so I've found this book, Plant-Powered Approach to Prostate Cancer. And this was very honest chronicling of this gentleman's cancer journey, because this goes on over 7 years. And he actually changed a lot in his life, but also he decided to go and promote the plant-based for improved health and for better prostate cancer outcomes. So he wrote a book about that. Yeah, this is a really good one. Also, at the end of each chapter, his wife has a few pages that she's written. So it's her perspective, because obviously if you're in a couple and one person gets prostate cancer, the couple has to deal with prostate cancer. I guess you could look at it that way. So that sometimes is hard for, of course, I'm focused on what I'm going through, but you got to think about what the other people in your lives are going through. And so it's nice having that other perspective that she's written from her perspective regarding the different topics he talks about, and kind of chronologically going through, seeing what she was doing. So I do highly recommend this one. Can somebody tell me if my video is still going? Because I'm still seeing a circle here. I'm thinking maybe I'll try and refresh it, but if nobody's seen the video, I need to figure out what's going on. Okay. No, now that's back. I guess it was my computer having the issue. Am I in? I've lost everybody's comments. No, it's back. Okay. Good here. Okay, thank you. Okay, I have to close the screen some so I don't get distracted seeing myself a couple seconds back. Another book that if you really want, thank you for letting me know that the video is working well there. Another book that I didn't read this one until much later, until I was maybe, it's like 8 or 9 months later. Thanks, Ross. I was getting, I was doing my, doing the radiation, the proton therapy radiation up in Dallas. And when you research, you look anything up online, of course, then something out there knows what you're interested in and then sends you ads and Kindle recommendations come up, all of that. And so they recommended this book. And this sort of explains the latest thinking in how cancer gets started, what it really is. And anyway, it's, I wouldn't say dry, but you really have to want to know about it to be able to read this whole book, I think. And so I found it useful because it sort of confirmed my thinking that years of eating very poorly and not doing lifestyle things that were in the best interest of my health could very well have contributed to the development of the cancer. And that absolutely I wanted to change both the diet and those lifestyle things at this point, because even if you're fortunate enough to have your cancer treated successfully and you're in permanent remission, you don't want some other cancer showing up. The way I see it is I'm sort of at a higher risk of that because and I know there can be a genetic component to this, but in terms of what things I did in my own life that may have resulted in the cancer developing, why would it just be prostate cancer? It could certainly be, some other cancer on its way to developing. So, excuse me, it's very, very important to me to make those healthful changes to reduce the chance that the prostate cancer comes back or that I get something else. Excuse me a second. Dry throat. I'm having my shaka drink here. It's a hibiscus tea that's flavored with something from Hawaii. I don't remember quite what it is, but incredibly good. I don't know if they have shaka where you're at, but it is 0 calorie. I can't see anything. I think it's monk fruit and something else here. Yeah, it's an herbal tea, monk fruit, pineapple flavor, spearmint. But there's one ingredient that's kind of a unique Hawaiian flavor that's really good. And so if anyone else has questions, feel free to ask. I'll show you some more books here in a second. Your father drank hibiscus tea. Yeah, it's I had it first, I think, when I went to Mexico. They make it with the petals of hibiscus. They're fresh and it's really good. Not used to talking so much at once. And yeah, that they have it bottled is nice. I tried making it. I bought the package of the hibiscus petals, but then, it's more work to actually have to make them into the tea. And so having a bottled version of it is nice. I'm afraid that's the case. And I found with changing my diet as well that I have to keep it convenient, because if it's a lot of work to do something, however committed you are to doing it, if there's a simpler thing that's an alternative, it's just so easy to go and do that, even if that's not the healthful food you were looking for. So I try to focus both on it being healthful and being fairly convenient. I have my dates nearby here too if I needed a little carb boost. Not my Ajwa dates, so I was most recently at Trader Joe's, so I have their medjool dates. Good stuff. Medjool dates have helped to keep me from getting back into cakes and cookies and all of that. Oh, that's interesting. The comment is that the hibiscus tea was able to help someone let me read it correctly here, to helped with someone who had kidney failure, the hibiscus tea. I do know that after when I have the hibiscus tea, hopefully this won't be an issue while I'm doing this live stream, makes you pee more. And so I have found with that, I have to consider if I'm going to be out somewhere that what tea to drink, depending on how much it makes you feel like you need to pee. I do decaffeinated teas for my black tea and my green tea. But still, I've found that like the English breakfast tea, even though it's decaffeinated, boy, after that one, the kidneys are busy. Kind of along those lines, I can show you this book I really liked. I feel like this is one of the, okay, well, this was written by a person dealing with prostate cancer, so it's a good perspective to have. And this is written by someone, Dr. Jason Fung, very knowledgeable, and spends his career dealing with this. So a very authoritative book, I would say. And this, I feel, is a little bit in between the two. It is written by a doctor, Dr. John Kelly, Stop Feeding Your Cancer. I'm trying to remember here, I don't believe he dealt specifically with cancer with his patients. He was a general practitioner, physician, I think. But he got the idea, it was a while ago, I should really reread this, but he got the idea that there was some outcomes that he saw between his patients and their diet and how their cancer progressed and how effective their cancer treatment was and so forth. So his book talks a lot about that. Oh, hey there. Oh, you know Dr. Fung. Well, you know his videos. Okay. Oh, he does the fasting too. Cool. This doctor would recommend his patients. He wasn't their oncologist, but he dealt with their other issues while they were going through cancer treatment. And he strongly recommended things that they could do to improve their diet, to eat more healthily and more healthy lifestyle. And it was sort of not a controlled experiment, but he basically told patients to do this, and he saw people having better outcomes when they would improve their diet and improve other things in their that they had control over, that they seemed to have better outcomes with cancer. So I really like that, because I believe in my case that that has helped. My brother is he's convinced that the cancer treatment side effects I've had have been less debilitating, in part, perhaps in my case, because I had a very healthy diet that I came into this with. And so my body's certainly suffered through the cancer treatments, but that they have been, because my body was sort of doing the best it can with the healthy foods, that it was able to get through those better. I'm sorry, I missed that last comment. Okay, good. I'm glad that you found that, the book recommendation, helpful. Thanks again, Ross. I appreciate it. Yes. Las Vegas, when it's cool. So, oh, someone asked me the next place I plan to go and climb. And yeah, I can't do those high ones in the West Coast, I'm afraid. Seattle's really my hometown. I'd love to go up and climb Mount Rainier, but my rule for the climbing is no crevasses and no avalanche danger. Those are two things that I'm not willing to go and risk. Other than that, I'll climb up to almost 22,000 feet Aconcagua, but that's because I don't have crevasses or much in the way of avalanche risk to have to worry about doing that. But Mount Rainier, I mean, I grew up in Seattle, so I know the reports that were in the news about climber missing and things. Oregon either. I do want to do the high point of California, and I imagine I could get around to doing the Nevada one, but yeah, I've got to get in better shape. I've got to get past my anemia and get my metabolism back. The Lupron is still wearing me down, though my latest thing, I won't complain about the Lupron, the 5,000-6,000 mile road trip with the different things along the way, started out because I had to go up for my 2-year follow-up with my radiation oncologist up in Dallas at the Proton Therapy Center. And I mentioned in a video a while back that this year has started with the radiation proctitis, which is very unpleasant. And it's damage to the rectum from the radiation. And so it doesn't always appear right away, but after a year, 2 years, 3 years, suddenly you get inside the rectum, it's trying to, I'm out of sync. Oh, well, this would be a fun thing to talk about while I'm out of sync, Ross. The rectum tries to heal the radiation damage, but it can't quite manage it. And so you end up with these blood vessels, very little fine capillary type things. I think of it as sort of when a woman has a period, what builds up in the uterus kind of stuff, which gets sloughed off monthly, which of course women all know about. I think it's a little bit similar to that. This collection of forms in the rectum, and then whether it's a bowel movement passes it by, or you're particularly active and the stuff sort of gets torn, but you bleed, and you can bleed out. It can mix in with the feces. You see it in the bowl. But the worst is when it's been bleeding and you don't realize it, and it pools up at the lowest point, which is, right there at the bottom of the rectum, ready to go out. And so when you have gas, the blood can come out with it. And that's the worst, because you never know when it's going to happen, and you can stain through your clothes and whatever you're sitting on, a seat cushion and so forth. So you have to wear pads, and it's a whole thing. So I tried all the things that the radiation oncology office had suggested to me about changes in my diet. The preparation H suppositories, you basically want to give that damage a chance to heal. And if it can heal up properly, then the problem goes away. But it's sort of like a half-healed open wound that's there. So I talked to my radiation oncologist up in Dallas, and he said, well, if those the preparation H didn't work for you, we're going to put you on some super suppositories. That's what you want to hear your next treatment's going to be. Not only super, but steroid. So I started just this last Monday, because I didn't want to start the treatment while I was traveling. Just this last Monday, I started steroid suppositories twice a day. I am not enjoying them. I mean, suppository is kind of messy and uncomfortable, but the steroids they gave me when I was doing chemo sort of they have that, what do you call, undeserved sense of well-being, something like that, where you feel like everything's so great, but there's really no reason why you should feel that. So that wasn't bad, and I was very of my chemo infusions. I talked, and then everything, of course, felt terrible the next day. Once the steroids wear off, you feel the full effect of the chemo. But these steroid suppositories, the list of side effects is funny, because a lot of them are emotional and psychological, but because you're where you put them is far from your brain, but somehow they get up there and cause that effect. And I'm just not feeling well from the steroid suppositories. It's upsetting my whole digestive system, and it's making my I don't know, I just feel kind of sick and off since I didn't take it I didn't suppository this morning, because I didn't want to feel poorly doing this. And so I do feel a little better taking a break, but I know I'm supposed to stay on it twice a day for 2 weeks, then report back to the radiation proctologist. Freudian slip. Freudian, anyway, I'm not going to make that joke. Okay. I'll blame this on the steroids. Yeah, so it's 2 or 3 refills though on the bottle. So he could ask me to do up to a couple months of this, and it's pretty miserable with them. So what I wanted to do was hyperbaric oxygen treatment, both because it's kind of cool, and they do that if you have the bends. I guess that's actually. Yeah, if you're diving and you come up too quick and you get the air bubbles in the blood vessels, they put you in the tank, they put you under pressure. Turns out if you breathe pure oxygen while you're under that pressure, that oxygen gets all infused throughout your body much more so than if you're just at regular sea level temperature, sea level air pressure. And so they've done studies which have shown that a lot of people see a lot of improvement in radiation proctitis. Because the oxygen gets infused so deeply, your body can actually do the proper healing. So you have to go every day for like an hour, hour and a half, and they put you at, I don't know, 2.5 atmospheric pressures, I think, and you breathe the pure oxygen during that, and you do that for several weeks. But that promotes the healing, and a lot of people, that gets rid of. It allows whatever's going on in the rectum to heal up. And so you can, there are a few side effects to that I've read, but that's what I would like to try. But yeah, my doctor wants me to do the steroids, give the steroid suppositories a go. And so I'm having a go with them. But at the first few days, I didn't notice any bleeding. And I thought, oh my gosh, maybe this worked. But no, Thursday I had another bleeding event. So anyway, I've got to go through this first before they'll see about the next treatment. So that's what I'm currently doing. But mostly things are good because it was my last Lupron shot. So I just keep looking forward to that wearing off. Did I miss any comments in the meantime here? Preparation H. Oh, the other preparation was a good joke. Why would anyone want to be a proctologist? I don't know. I found so many people in the medical profession, somebody in their family had an illness. And so while they were younger, and so they decided they wanted to go, which is very noble. And yeah, people do have proctology issues. I'm certainly having them now. So yeah. Okay, it's a good question. I don't know. But all I can say is I'm so thankful that we have people who are interested in every part of the body. And so we have doctors for every part of the body. And I mean, just like all the different jobs we need for society to function, thank goodness there's people who are interested in doing all the different things needed. If nobody wanted to do a particular thing, which may be a little more worrisome now because everybody's changing jobs. And so what if everyone decides just to do the really fun stuff? Everybody wants to be a brain surgeon, but nobody wants to be a proctologist. Where are we going to be? Let me show you one other book. It's not cancer related, but I read this book. It was recommended to me by my nurse practitioner, who was my primary care person for a number of years before my cancer treatment, before my cancer diagnosis. And they wanted me to go into the cath lab because I was having some heart issues. Okay, I will, thank you. I'll talk to your comment in just a second. My nurse practitioner recommended this because my cardiologist said, well, we'll put you on the statins and that'll slow down things, the arteries getting clogged up. But that was about it. We can put you on medication and maybe slow it down some. But my nurse practitioner said, read this book, see what you think. If you can make the changes in your diet that they talk about here, maybe it's possible you can not only stop the progression of your coronary arteries getting filled in, maybe you can actually improve it some. So the book was very inspiring because they saw a lot of great results with the people who made the dietary changes, which in the case of this particular view on that, it's cutting out the oils. Oils and every kind of oil. Olive oil, the ones you've heard are healthy, all of that. This book says, nope, if you have coronary artery disease, do not do the oils. You're just going to keep contributing to it. And there's debate about it and so forth. But the guy did have a number of people who were considered, the doctor did have a number of people patients who cardiologists basically said, we can't do anything more for you. I'm sorry. So they went to the Cleveland Clinic, got into his program, and 10 years, 20 years later, still around. So the results speak for themselves sometimes. And I think in this case, that's true too. So I had switched over based on this book for my heart issues. I had switched my diet to being much healthier. And I got the cancer diagnosis about a year and a half after that. So short term, you would say, well, look at that. You changed those foods and it gave you cancer, but obviously not. Prostate cancer takes some time to develop. I'd been developing prostate cancer for a number of years. And so maybe changing my diet, helped in the time between when I did that and when I got the prostate cancer diagnosis. I don't know, but this was great. And as people get older, I mean, people just tend to fall into the same illness camps of cancer, heart disease, diabetes, the metabolic syndrome, the whole thing. And all of them are tied in, I think, a lot to diet. Let me go back to the previous comment first. Father died from prostate cancer. I'm sorry. Don't know if it was aggressive or he sought treatment late. Scared that you'll get it. Cancer doesn't run in my family. I don't have parents, grandparents, siblings. My father told us that, well, you don't have to worry about getting cancer, at least. Cancer doesn't run in our family. Heart disease runs in our family because my grandfather died at 52 of a heart attack. Great uncle who had heart bypass, several bypasses in his about 70. Anyway, we have lots of heart disease in the family. That's what we have the history of. And I'll read your comment just a second, Ross. So I was told, don't have to worry about cancer, and I didn't. So the genetic component, it can be part of it in a lot of illnesses, but I think you have a lot of control yourself to do things that don't let those genes sort of follow the course to where they might go. If you allow them to, then you will go that way. But so let's say you have a predisposition to some cancer. What do you have working against that? What do you have on your side? You have your immune system. The immune system is mostly what keeps cancer in check, as I understand it. And so you want to support your immune system. So if you're eating a lot of processed foods and eating in an unhealthy way, there's different mechanisms by which that stymies the work of the immune system. And so when the immune system's not working at 100%, that's where some cells become cancerous and it misses them. Then you got an issue now, because now you got a tumor, now you got a growth tumor, now you got a spreading tumor. What's keeping that in check is your immune system. So if you can eat and live in a way to keep your immune system doing 100% of the time at full capacity, it's much more likely to catch those early cancers. And so even if genetically you're predisposed to it, if you can keep yourself very healthy, largely I think through diet, then you might have a chance for circumventing the way that your genetics would go. Really, it's what you can do, what you have control over, and from what we know right now. So I haven't ever heard of anyone eating a healthy diet and it having negative side effects. Does make you gassy. Okay, negative side effect. But in terms of your health, people who have start eating less processed food, heavily processed foods, eat more natural whole foods, I haven't heard of bad side effects from that. But almost anything else, whether it's a treatment or whether it's a medication, there's going to be side effects galore. So do what you can that's within your own power to reduce your prostate cancer risk. Dr. Dean Ornish, he's done a study that has shown in early prostate cancers, don't quote me on this, I'm just trying to remember the books and articles I read. He had people change up not just their diet, but their sleep, their emotional well-being. He has a whole program of things. And they found that people who made those changes did not see as much progression in their prostate cancer going from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3. They could sort of, the way I see it is you stalemate it. You may not be able to get rid of the cancer, but you can stalemate it. Again, it's your immune system, I think, that's doing that. When it tries to go to the next step, the immune system is there to stop it. Even if your immune system can't get inside the little tumor, because the tumors have a bunch of anti-immune system protection. So, sorry, I think I'm starting to ramble a little on that. So in conclusion, you can be in control of what you're eating and your lifestyle. And those are things you can do to affect your cancer risk. So it can definitely be scary if cancer runs in your family. And when you get older, your immune system, just like most of the things in your body, gets a little tired, but you want to keep that going at 100%, gives you the best chance of defying what your genetics might incline you to otherwise. Excuse me a second. Okay. I hope that was helpful. Let me scroll back a little here. Yeah, the heart damage. They used to think a lot of that, once it had happened, there wasn't much they could do. But they've found, from what I've read, my experience with my own mother who died of heart failure back in 2004, that the heart's amazing, all parts of the body are amazing, and you can see some improvement in things, but you have to do things to make that improvement happen. Medicine can help, but if you aren't giving your body what it needs to do the proper job of doing the repair, of keeping you healthy, of the immune system out there catching things before they get too bad, I don't think there are enough medicines to keep you going if you're not giving your body what it needs nutrition-wise. That's what I think. My views on prayer. Yeah, Ross is asking what my views on prayer are. There are books on the subject. Want to know my thought on it. Spirituality. Yeah, it's the steroids. Is good and is can help get you through finding out you have cancer, dealing with when you feel you're most miserable, going through the cancer treatments. I think it's good in that way. So prayer is a manifestation of spirituality. And okay, let me put it this way. So I'm finishing up my cancer treatment, and there have been lots of people involved in the last 3 years. I have the people who gave me the chemo, the medical oncologist. And if my cancer is in a long-term remission, they'll say, wow, you know, it was the chemo. The radiation oncologist who went in and zapped all the areas that the cancer was at. And if the cancer is in long-term remission, they'll say, oh, well, you know, it was the radiation. I've had people on my wife's family who they've done the rosary for that week where they put their intentions and prayers towards me, and I expect they would say, well, you know, doing the rosary, that's what did it. And I went to a healing mass. I did a video about this down in the valley in South Texas. I went to a healing mass, and the people who prayed for me there and just the whole energy of the place, they might say, well, look, the cancer's in long-term remission. It was our prayer, the energy, our prayers that did it. And I'm happy with everyone. I'm happy giving credit, you know, to everyone, so long as it's the case that it's a long-term remission. I think for myself that the eating and the lifestyle are the biggest things I can do, but I'm not big on praying for myself. I do pray, but it seems, I don't know, for me, it's like not something you should be asking for yourself. Even something as serious as, you know, please take the cancer away kind of thing. Of course, you know, I'd like a new car, praying for a new car kind of thing is, but even for the health plan, and that's going to play out how it's going to play out, I would prefer it plays out without me having cancer. But I certainly feel inclined on occasion to offer prayers to other people who are suffering. So I don't know. I guess it doesn't make sense, but once you involve religion, you aren't necessarily talking about things that make sense. So I'm a big supporter of praying for other people, and I appreciate that people have prayed for me, have given me their good thoughts and their prayers. And again, if we end up with a good result here, I think everybody should take some credit for what happened. Okay, so that's how I answer that question. My garden, looking at it right now, I got an issue with a cat, the neighbor's cat from the backyard. Oh, so everybody's who isn't having flooding is having the heat and the drought, and we've got pretty severe drought here in central Texas. So I've got my little garden area with my sweet potatoes. I've got one pumpkin. The squirrels let me have one pumpkin that I'm growing, and I water it a few times a week. So there's one little green patch out here in my backyard. I can see it right now, along with my date palms, of course. And the lizards, every year, they come down out of the trees and they live in my sweet potato garden because it has those big leaves. And so there's like a dark, moist, good for insect environment underneath the canopy. Well, it's not really like a canopy up here. It's just a few inches off the ground, but there's this micro environment there with lots of insects that the lizards love to eat. So they come down out of the trees. These are the green and brown anole lizards. And they tend to do real well. I have lots of baby lizards all through there. So they have a good time of it. And I like seeing the lizards there. I like having the lizards better than I like having the insects. So that's all good until this cat from the backyard has decided that's how he wants to spend his time, both eating and, you know how cats do the little torturing thing where they catch something but they don't really kill it and they kind of bat it around and wait for it to scurry away, and they do that cat thing. They decided that's what they're going to do in my garden, which I'm not having that. No, no, no. Now I may have an overproliferation of baby lizards out there without a natural predator, but I don't care. I got to protect my lizards. So I got an extra fence set up, but it comes around that. And every time I see him coming over, it's a white cat, so it really stands out in the green garden. So anytime, and I'm looking all the time now, I run out in the yard and clap my hands and shout at it, and he takes off over the fence and goes running back. But then he'll be back again. So how's my garden doing? I guess it's doing fairly well, but I've got cat issues with my lizards that I'm trying to help keep alive through the drought. Let's say it that way. I'm glad I could be helpful. Thank you, Tiffany. Thanks, Ross. I appreciate that. The rheumatoid arthritis, and in remission with the elderberry. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the elderberry in what's it called? The medication, the gummies. Darn it, we have some near here. Anyway, it's their juice, and it supposedly it helps colds and flus. Excuse me, so you don't have as long a run of the cold and flu. But some people say, I don't know, some tests, some scientific tests I've seen have said that it helps. Elderberry, darn it, what's it called? But others have said, no, it doesn't make a difference. But I haven't seen that it causes any harm. And if your experience and expectation is that it may help you, you may feel better as a result of it. Oh, yeah. If only I could remember. It's because it's the what you find in this, remember, cell's still working. But you know, because I recommended it to you, so that's good. Yes, thanks, Ross. Lend you some money. Yeah, that doesn't grow on the trees here early. The cat doesn't grow on the trees. Is that a Freudian slip too? Doesn't grow on the trees here either. I've only got the date palms. I don't have a money tree. Sambukal. The brain, it worked. I was watching a thing last night about Poirot, the Agatha Christie detective in the TV series. And he's always talking about the little gray cells. And yeah, the little gray cells, they worked. So Sambucol is maybe the brand name, or maybe that's just what they call the concoction once they've extracted the elderberry juice and done some stuff to it. But that's the one you can find in the store. Sells big during cold and flu season. Well, that's good. I mean, you and I have a little bit different opinion on that. So when I pray, I do thank God for serenity and peace and being able to get through all this. So I pray in appreciation for what I've been given, but I guess I'm a little hesitant to ask for more, but that's just me. New gadgets. Yeah. Oh, I moved stuff so I could do the video. I'll never find the things now. I do have to do my emergency satellite locator review, which I had to get that in order to be allowed to go and do the Guadalupe Peak and the Oklahoma on my own, because it's a little box that communicates via the satellites. So wherever you are on the planet, even if you're out of cell phone range, you can push a button on it and it will send an emergency signal that they have some, I don't know, I imagine they have, you know, a big center with all the people at the desk 24/7 and the headsets and the big screen and all this. And anyway, they get in touch with rescue people in your area, let them know your latitude and longitude, and initiate a rescue if that's required. And because I was going to do these climbing outside of cell phone range by myself, my family really wanted me to have something that if things went awry, there was some way I could get help. If any place I was going to need it, it would have been in Guadalupe Peak, because it was a much more challenging climb, but it was so crowded when I went. There were just nonstop people coming and going. So, I mean, I would have, there was somebody there I could have asked to, you know, when they get down to the bottom, call help, or can you help me or something. But in Oklahoma, which wasn't nearly as challenging, nobody was there. Nobody was around for miles when I did that. And I really pushed it to the limit coming down and nearly overheated. So it turned out it was actually better that I had it with me in Oklahoma, just because there was nobody there. And so there was nobody to ask for help, which is what my family was concerned about. And I need to be a little more concerned about when I go to remote places and do these climbs. So I do need to finish up. I've done part of the review of that. It's a really cool thing. It works with your phone. Oh, and they just released a new feature for it. I'm going to use this, where I can set it up. Okay, so you have it. So it does every like 15 minutes, every half hour, it sends a signal to whoever is signed up to monitor your device. So it can be your family or, and they get a little notification that you are now at this location. So they can basically trace going on a map, and they just have a feature they've added that you can do that as a public thing. So I'll be able to, when I go to do another high point climb, I'll be able to post and send a link. Hey, tomorrow I'm, you know, at 9 a.m. I'm going to do my climb. And if you're at all interested, you can click on the link and it'll show you the map, and it'll show you right where I am. You can see the dots, and then you can see the dots stop moving. Uh-oh. And so anyway, it's a cool device. And I know that the newest iPhones can do something similar, that they're able to, if you're out of cell phone range, there's an emergency feature that goes via the satellite. So, but this is Android phones I don't think have that yet. I have an Android phone. And I like having just a little dedicated box with 10 days of battery time and that little emergency button, just in case I need it. Gives a little peace of mind knowing that it's there. What other devices am I doing? Oh, I can't tell you about it yet. Sorry. What I was working on with my brother up in Washington State. So there are some things there. That'll be on Epic Review Guys, though. So you'll see my brother and I in some videos up there when I get through the hours of stuff that I recorded and get those videos put together. But we were using some devices. Companies still send me products for review. I encourage them to. I should be getting a new watch to review. I think that's going to happen. It has some other additional monitor features. It's not it's not a Fitbit or a Samsung, it's smaller brands, but they put some of the newer features in those smaller brands. And so I'm excited to try that out. I should receive that soon. The company asking me if I will do some videos for their, not quite rehabilitation products, but it's basically for people who have elderly people. Like if you've gotten on the floor and you can't get up, it's like a seat that you, if you can slide yourself onto it and push a button, it will actually lift you up to like the level of the sofa, and then you can scoot over onto the sofa. I assume people who are having trouble getting off the floor don't go down there voluntarily or intentionally. So if you happen to fall and you can get yourself to this, it'll lift you up. You can scooch onto the sofa and watch TV or something, get to your phone, that sort of thing. So I'm interested in doing that, but yeah, okay. I won't say more about that right now. Other devices. I'm waiting for the new new handheld stabilizer camera, the that I've used a few times walking through the park. It's really good because it takes both the motion, like when you're walking, it stabilizes that out. But also in my case, especially with this hand, it's staying pretty still. But when I'm holding something heavy, it shakes in that rhythmical pattern that's so hard for the camera to deal with. Camera can do a little shake, but when you're shaking like this, it doesn't like it. But the camera that's built on a gimbal with a little stabilizer, I found that's really good, and they have a new version of that coming out. So anytime I'm doing a video not sitting still like here, that's the kind of thing I'd like to have to use. I'm also thinking of doing a review comparing different video and still cameras and phones for people who have that essential tremor when the hand shakes, and as you get older it gets worse, and it makes it hard to take pictures, makes it hard to take video that people want to watch, to see which is the best device to deal with that. So that's another thought that I've had for a video series I'd like to do. Do I watch other reviewers? I really don't watch much YouTube unless I need to know how to do something. I watch YouTube. Okay, I take that back. I do watch, I listen to YouTube at night. I have that download thing set, so it'll download a few videos in advance, put my earbuds in to go to sleep. And oh, the one I listen to mountaineering videos, which are usually, you know, they're kind of, stuff goes wrong in the mountain because people don't want to listen to a story about where everything went well, which is unfortunate. Is any mountaineering stuff. I love all that. And I also listen to this guy who, what's his name? Not Patrick. He's a pilot. Maybe somebody out there knows. He's a pilot. He flies 747s. He has a channel with like 1 million followers now. And he talks about different people send him video clips of planes, you know, landing in weird ways or stuff happening and taking off. They send him audio clips of the air traffic control people talking to pilots when things don't work quite right. And he sort of gives you his perspective on that. It's really interesting. Maybe not for most people, but I find that interesting. 74 gear, Kelsey, that's him. Oh, you know him. Yeah, I just like him. He's done some videos where he's in other countries and, you know, shows going through the hotel, secrets of the airport lounge, that kind of stuff. I don't have any membership that get me into any of the lounges, but it's interesting to see when he's in there how it works. So that's the guy. Yes, you know the guy. I guess he's a YouTuber I watch. So I do watch a YouTuber, or at least I listen to. I never watch his videos. I just hear them at night. Right. Yeah. And I went to air traffic control school back out of college. Out of college, I worked for the Veterans Administration in their bone marrow transplant unit at a major hospital. I was their tech and office person. I wasn't a medical person. I have to say, I'm not a doctor and I offer no medical advice here. This is just anecdotal of my experience. But I did work at the VA hospital for people going through bone marrow transplant. Yeah, it was a rough place for everybody working there, and of course for the people and the families there, very serious illnesses they were dealing with. But I did that for a while. And since I had a government job, I took the test for air traffic controller, and they found I had an aptitude for that. And so I went to Oklahoma City, where they have the air traffic control training center. And I lived there for several months and did air traffic control school, crashed a lot of imaginary planes, what they call SEP errors, separation errors. My graduating class, I think it was 3 months, my graduating class, we decided that every time somebody had a SEP error, you had to put 25 cents in the kitty. And that was a pool we were going to use to pay for our graduation party at the end. And I think we had 18 people in our class and 12 made it to the end. But every time you got a separation error, which means it's a euphemism, but the planes got too close together, you had to put the 25 cents in. And at the end of that 3 months, we had over $200 for our party. Just be glad we were having the SEP errors in the labs and the practice and the tests, and not out there being the air traffic controllers. Sorry, I'm catching up here. Oh, the salsa spaghetti. Oh, yes, that's a review probably from Rainy Day Dreamers channel I did with my kids. We tried different foods and snacks and some toy reviews back when that was a popular thing. Then YouTube decided those videos couldn't be monetized in the same way. And so a lot of the people who were doing those family reviews of toys and so forth, you weren't going to make back the money you were paying to buy the toys anymore. Really, the money just went away. So a lot of people left doing that. In my case, though, it was still fun to do, but the kids didn't think so much as they got older. They thought they didn't like their friends watching them on a YouTube video. It was strange for them. So they said, okay, I'm done doing that. But obviously I don't mind, because I've been doing it for 11 years now, I think. I think I put my first videos up on Epic Review Guys back in 2012. Yeah, one of the 5 most stressful jobs, probably right after proctologist. Yeah, I did okay with the air traffic control, but it was just always in my mind, those separation errors, to make a mistake. I mean, there's so many things you can make a mistake with as the air traffic controller. You can tell somebody the wrong millibars of mercury for the air pressure. And if they dial that in and set it wrong on their plane, they may crash because, they're not at the altitude they thought. I mean, just a little thing like that. And anyway, I just decided to go instead to Japan and become an English teacher, where the worst thing that could happen is if I made a mistake was some kid would use the wrong past tense of a verb or something. That was it. I wasn't going to be in charge of actual people in airplanes and their takeoffs and landings. So yeah, the stress. I guess I haven't ever been a particularly good person at dealing with stress. I'm good at internalizing it. I'm good at not dealing with it in the moment and then leaving it to cause health issues and digestive issues later. One thing I can say for being on the testosterone all this time, and that my family reminds me, is that I've become a lot more patient and a lot more willing to let the emotions go where they go and not just stuff them in the can and force them to stay down somewhere hidden away and probably never dealt with. With some things I still tend to do that, but I think with a lot more things I'm willing to, all right, here it comes, here come the tears. And I never used to be able to do that. So something to say for not having the testosterone making you focus on your masculinity and what are people going to think. But then again, when you got to worry about is it time to change out my pad because of my radiation proctitis, not a lot of focus on all that masculinity anyhow. I will say my family is concerned that when the Lupron wears off, starting in mid-November, and the testosterone comes back up, that will the what they see as the less attractive elements of my personality, will they reappear? But they tell me, no, you are self-aware enough now that even if you feel more stuff because of the testosterone, you're self-aware, so you're not going to go back to doing some of the things that were less endearing that you used to do. So I hope that's the case too. I see we're over an hour here. I appreciate everybody who's still watching. I've gone through my list of books. I've told you about the latest with the steroid suppositories. And if there's any last questions, I'll be glad to answer. I think this wrap things up. I can have some of my dates. I'm watching. Okay. Well, thanks again to everyone for visiting me on my. I appreciate that, Ross. Thanks so much. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for visiting with me on my 3-year Cancerversary. I'm happy to be here. It's been tough on occasion over the past 3 years, but thank you very much. But it's been worth all the effort. And I have lots of good things I'd like to be doing in the future. And so I'm focusing on that. And we'll see how it all goes from here. But 3 years later, I'm still here. And I think I'll be around to bother you for a while. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next review.